Hello everyone, welcome to my June garden tour. Hope you're doing great and that you are surviving this extreme heat wave that we all seem to be experiencing globally. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how the garden is doing in this month of June, what is currently blooming, how the plants are coping with the extreme heat that we've been experiencing for the past couple of days now, and how the garden is transitioning from spring to summer. So we are nearing the end of June, and today is actually the hottest day of the year so far. I'm going to start here on the roadside garden. And right now it is noon when I'm filming this video. So on this side we have that Leyland cypress looking great, then a few different varieties of hostas which are now enjoying a little bit of shade because we're here on the roadside garden, which is north facing. You can see that I have more hostas on this side and some geraniums over there in a hanging basket. And then I have a rose of Sharon bush here, budded up already. Then I have this incredible hydrangea, Annabelle, that I transplanted. As you can see, it's struggling more than the other one that has been here now for 2 seasons. And then on the ground we have the astilbe that is currently blooming, burning right now under this hot sun. And then we have some asters here, a middle variety of asters. And then I have all the heuchera. I'm going to push my umbrella back a bit to avoid taking the shade in the video. I have a rose growing back there. And what we have right now that is really doing well are all the bachelor's buttons. I planted the blue variety this season. Here is another rose of Sharon. I have a small hydrangea tucked in there. Then I have some coleus right in front here. The autumn joy sedum. I cut back my peonies once they were done blooming and have very little foliage left. I have a rose back there. Lots of coneflowers. My coneflowers are now blooming. This is the Echinacea purpura. So the dahlias, of course, are enjoying this beautiful weather. However, the things that I recently transplanted, like these daisies, are struggling a bit. The cat pajamas is loving it in this position, so they're doing quite well. They filled up quite a lot, and the little lime hydrangeas are also beginning to bloom now, to open up their bloom heads. The Echinacea purpura, another bachelor's button bush here. And then we have all the drumstick alliums that are also blooming right now, looking gorgeous. My grandiflora rose back there is looking, it's done blooming now. I'd like to have rose hips this year, so I'm not going to cut it back because I have lots of other flowers that are going to be blooming as well. So overall, this border, I'm happy with how it's looking. I'm going to be improving it as we head towards the end of the year, but everything so far is looking quite good. The lamzia that I just recently added looking great as well. One of the phantom hydrangeas here at the front, you can see that is also beginning to bloom right now, looking gorgeous. And then we have that blue star juniper, all the other evergreens, everything doing great. I recently received a tree peony from my neighbors that I put here. And then we have that baby blue spruce also growing. My second phantom hydrangea. My red umbrella Japanese maple here. And then I have the bamboos. I have some bamboos right next to my pond area here. So now the middle border, which has these 2 Japanese maple trees, the bloodgood Japanese maple and the orange dream up there, back up there. Everything is doing great. I have some ground cover roses. I made the big mistake of transplanting 2 of them just a few days ago, and of course they are burning in this weather. The other ones, however, are doing quite well. So my daisy bushes that I transplanted, they used to be right here. and they covered up the whole area, so I decided to just remove 2 of them, and this is the one we have left here. More sedum autumn joy. The snapdragons are now blooming. I'm glad to see that I have one wide variety coming up there, because so far all I've seen is pink, pink, pink. And then here is that little Matterhorn hydrangea. In the center here we have the vanilla strawberry hydrangea, which is not blooming just yet, but has lots of buds and it's probably going to come up soon with blooms. Then I have the other varieties of heucheras here. I think these ones don't like the sun as much as the orange ones on this side, because they're not looking their best. They've looked better. More snapdragons here. The ground cover roses, Roadside Garden, blooming beautifully. More hostas down there. And then of course the orange dream Japanese maple, which I see is not loving the sun that much, because some of the leaves look like they're burning. And luckily that I decided to move it here, because in the afternoon right now it's going to get some shade from that grueling sun. As we move on, another small area here where I have the bigger variety or the bigger bush of the phantom hydrangea, looking absolutely gorgeous. And then we come to that area with my big leaf hydrangeas. I've always thought that these are the endless summers. It's possible that they're not actually endless summers. And I did work a little bit on making them, on acidifying the soil to have some blue and more varieties in the blooms, more variety in color. But so far they're really very pink. They're more pink than anything else. So I'm kind of, I don't know what to do. Nevertheless, I love how they're looking. They filled up quite nicely here in this area. But yeah, I'm still not convinced that this is the right place for them to be. Right next to that, I have the New England asters, which are doing great. And then I have that area where I planted my clematis. And you'll find that there are blooms in this bush here and there, but not as many as I was hoping, because the whole thing is planted in a container that dries out very quickly, so it's not performing to its full potential. And come the end of the year, I'm going to be changing that. Now, so this is the front garden. I'm going to take you now to the back garden. As we move towards the backyard, you see that my grasses are growing quite well. And then I have those 3 pinnacle hydrangeas that I used to refer to as my limelight hydrangeas. Turns out that just one of them is actually the closest thing to an original limelight, and that will be this one in the middle right here. The other 2, I'm not sure what they are. So this one has red stems and it's more like a shorter bush, a more compact and low growing bush. Whereas the other one has some ruffle leaves and it seems to be blooming much earlier than the limelight in the middle. So maybe this is a limelight prime. I don't know. They're quite similar, but yeah, I don't know. Back there is the lilac tree. Probably going to be transplanting all of these things come end of season. And something exciting is the lavender bushes, which are blooming right now, looking fantastic. The bees is full of bees and all kinds of insects. Smells amazing. There might be a little too many because they're limiting the pathway here. They're taking half of the pathway and have spread as well on the other side. So I might have to prune those. Now, in the containers, we have the roses, which bloomed beautifully back in May and at the beginning of June. Here's where we have that Candy Love Hydrangea, which is now beginning to open up the blooms. I've not yet removed the alliums that I used to have here. I need to take care of that. And then we have that beautiful fragrant white me love rose, which also bloomed fantastically. Looked amazing just a few weeks ago. And that is here's the second one, which is preparing to send out its second flush of blooms. They just are beginning to open right now. So pretty happy with this corner of the garden. My zinnias are blooming already as well. Oh, let's take out the other containers here. So I decided to take out the foxgloves everywhere in the garden. I think at this time of year, they're not looking their best. So I'm going to be, I'll either leave all of this just as it is, or I might be adding in other things. Everything is suffering extremely from the heat that we're having right now. But overall, looking great. Here is a Switchophilia hydrangea, one of the earliest to bloom in the season. Very early blooming hydrangea, the Switchophilia. You can see that it's looking fantastic. And here are the Calibrajos. Here's a lace cap hydrangea, just beginning to bloom. And over here are my first blooming zinnias. So before we go back there and explore the lower part of the garden, let's take a look at the Annabelle hydrangea hedge. So this hydrangea hedge has taken over this space, just as I predicted. They are now touching the pool cover, and they've grown past 2 meters, so they are well above my height in some places right now, and they look just incredible. The stems are steady for the most part. We've had some thunderstorms here with really very heavy winds, and they did survive all that quite well. So here's the look from the other side. Standing in the vegetable garden, it's just a cloud of Annabelle hydrangea blooms. Stunning. As much as I love this hydrangea here, I might have to make a big decision come the end of the year, because I cannot, they don't have enough space to expand here. So I might have to either remove them or divide them. I haven't quite decided yet, but something is going to be done because they need more space. And being here where you have the pool on this side and the vegetable garden wall on that side, they cannot just have enough space here. So right next to that is the dahlia bed. All the dahlias are now blooming, or most of them. Dinner plates dahlias, and here's where I have many of my zinnias as well. I didn't anticipate having this many red dahlias, but here we are. Cactus dahlia there. And don't you just love the color of this one? Peach yellow in the center. Very tall though. And here's another dinner plate. Now you won't believe me if I told you that this was once a yellow dahlia, just like the other one on the other side. But yeah, so the dahlias are looking great, but I don't think that this was the best idea. I think next year I'm going to plant the Annabelle hedge over here on this side. Standing here looking down, the dahlias are not necessarily the thing that you want to see in the background there. This hedge is of course beautiful, and over there we have another set of hydrangeas, but the dahlias are not are not the best thing to put there. So I'm going to be putting the hydrangeas in the back of at the back of the pool next season. I think back there they will give a more tidy look. Yeah, so now this garden room down here, I do have a container with more lavender. Then I have all of the boxwood bushes that I added. I'm still battling to decide what perennial exactly I want to have here. And now that the agapanthus are blooming, I think they'll be a good option. Imagine if they filled up here, and I think next season we'll have more of them. They will look quite nice. Here's my second blue spruce that I have not yet planted. It's still in a container. It's been growing, that's for sure, but I've not planted it just yet. Then I have the smoke bush back here, which I've planted already. And then we have the Pinky Winky Prime hydrangeas back here. This is a Cosmos, the first one to bloom this season. The variegated dogwood Bellissima. More Cosmos back here. And the Pinky Winky Prime Hydrangea Hedge or bushes. Not much to say on my Roadside Garden, apart from the fact that I didn't transplant. The gladiolus that I met here are still here. I hope to be able to transfer them at the end of this season. Our heating unit back there, I did put some evergreens in front of that to help camouflage it a little bit. And then I have that tree there that I still need to plant. Here is where we have some original endless summer hydrangeas. They too are not looking, they didn't turn blue as I was hoping. But there's a hint of blue somewhere, but they're not blue and they're not purple or anything. These two are just like the ones in front, the mop heads. And back there is a pinnacle hydrangea that is very close to, could be a limelight prime. Now we're going to be looking at the vegetable garden, which is behind the Annabelle hydrangea hedge. We have a fig tree here with lots of fruit on it. And I've had a really good season so far. Let me show you what we have that is currently coming up. So all my tomatoes are blooming already. Some of them are bearing fruits already. We had a wonderful strawberry season. They're still producing. We've harvested lots of strawberries throughout the vegetable garden. Here are more tomatoes. I have to water the tomatoes a lot because this is the sunniest part of the garden at this time of year and day. And so they dry out very quickly because they're growing in containers and grow bags. Nevertheless, I can say that we are going to have a good production of tomatoes, a good yield, because everything is sending out fruits. Then we have peppers, which are doing quite well as well. I started all my tomatoes and peppers from seeds, as well as the aubergines. Started everything from seeds, and they're doing quite well. I have lots of mints in containers of different varieties. Here is the concrete bed. We have some herbs here at the beginning under the fig tree, and then I have my carrots back there, which are difficult to reach, so I haven't tinned them properly. Then I have the lettuce growing here, the Swiss chard over here. I do still have some garlic and onions back there. Now we have lots of beets coming up. You can see that the bulbs on those beets, on some of those beets, are huge. So I still have some purple kohlrabi here. Purple kohlrabi, not doing so well. Then I have more strawberries in containers. Wooden garden beds, I did harvest my garlic because it was covered with rows, and planted other things there. Flowers, more flowers, and some celery. But my onions have been great. They're doing so well. And I'm not going to harvest them. I prefer to come here every day and just pick one to cook with. But they're looking fantastic. I'm so happy with. Let's harvest this one just to show you. So this is an incredible size onion. Look at that. So I'm very happy with my onions, and yeah. So back there, I used to have the brassicas, broccolis, romanesco, and cauliflower, which I've harvested. They did quite well, so I've harvested that now, and I've planted some beans just a few days ago. So in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be seeing lots of beans growing in that metal box. And then here I used to have potatoes. I had a very good potato harvest, and I've now planted some squash. This is the Hokkaido. This one I did buy. I bought from the shop because I was so late with seeds. So I have a sweet potato there in the middle, another Hokkaido. My berry bushes back there, more sunflowers. Here is the in-ground strawberry bed. Has been producing lots. Even now, if you look in there, you see lots of strawberries ready for harvesting. And then I'm having issues with my zucchini. The zucchini is producing lots of leaves and also lots of fruits, but they're not coming to maturity, because I think we have a pollination problem here with this zucchini, because I do have lots of fruits, but they never get big. And so here's where I used to have my peas. I had a good harvest on my peas. Very happy with that. And now I've harvested all of it, and I have put in some beans. I have some cucumber here. I have a melon there. I have more pumpkins that I'm hoping will grow up these trellis and fill up some space. Here is another courgette. What is this? A cucumber. And this one has fruits already. So I'm hoping to be harvesting from this in the very near future. And also some beans here, a watermelon down there. More sunflowers here. Here's another limelight. This one has more sun and is far ahead than the other one. Here is my asparagus bed, doing well. I have some artichokes here that I just started this season, so nothing to harvest there yet. And then I have the nasturtiums. This one is struggling because it's very sunny over here. This is a pumpkin, a squash pumpkin. Here is one of my apple trees. More nasturtium here. Of course, back here is where I also have my emerald green arborvitae hedge. Here's where I used to have potatoes, and these are ready for harvesting. I just haven't been that, I haven't had time to harvest them yet. And they can stay like this for some time. That doesn't. Here are some ground berries, blueberries. Didn't do that well this season. This is a pear tree over here with lots of fruits on it. Here's a sweet potato, another sweet potato. picking up finally. And over here is where I have my corn. I'm so glad to see that the corn is doing quite well. So I'm hoping that we'll have a very beautiful corn harvest this season. Oh my God, I need to water that blueberry bush in a container. And these are the Johannisbeeren. Still haven't looked up the name of the Johannisbeeren in English. Maybe in the next tour. By then out. All right, the corn is looking amazing. Then I have my pumpkins here for the Halloween season. I need to prune some of that and eliminate the branches that I don't want in order to promote the other, the biggest sunflower tree so far. And here's the second apple tree. I keep saying that I have to cut the top of this tree. It will probably help the tree a lot. And then here's where I have my green giants growing, holding up, taking up space. Love seeing that. And so that will be the end of the tour. Thanks a lot for watching. See you in our next one. Bye.